Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, Tammy Lynn Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. I am excited to have you here as we dive into the month of February and what that means for love and relationships, which was our theme for this first 3 months of 2021. So while I get myself all settled, I'm going to bring in our guides to sit with us, and you are going to hear background sounds and stuff going on, and just roll with that. Roll with that as best you can, because I feel like energy is picking up, and so that's just the way it's going to be, I guess, right now. All right, so let's do this. Let's get ourselves into a comfortable listening spot. I think we're going to go a little bit longer today. I want to kind of do a little bit of a January review just quickly, and then I want to bring in the energies of the month of February, pull some cards, talk to that, read a little bit of an energy story for the month, and I want to ensure that I'm also bringing in messages for our viewers or readers, listeners, who are we, for the community that is following me. So that would be Starseeds and folks that are going through the Divine Union, Divine Counterparts journey. Some people I don't call it twin flames anymore, but you may resonate more with that. And then we'll bring in messages for the collective, which is just all of us if you don't identify with either of those. So as I always say here, you choose your listening experience. You can just choose to listen to, what I'm talking about at a higher level. Just get the quick lowdown on the monthly energies. You can choose to take it a little bit deeper and listen for, the metaphors and the messages that are coming up specifically for you. Or you can choose to invite in your guides and your angels or whoever you work with, and, bring in deeper messages for you and for what you most need to know in this now as it pertains to the month of February. Wrapping us all in love light and light love, and calling in our guides and the guides that would like to support me in this February energies update. Already before I started the update, I have musicians coming in. So I have what is this called? Yes, the music oracles coming in. So we're going to be working with them as well as my own deck, which what I thought was quite interesting about my own deck, and no one obviously would have caught this but me, but last month I called it by a different name than it actually is. I think that's so weird. So Lancashire has been coming up for me a lot. It comes up in some of my stories, and the deck that I actually made that I use, that's my own deck, is the Labyrinth of Dragonshire. And last month I called it the Dragons of Lancashire deck. So I was like, what in the world is happening with that? So maybe that's a message out there for somebody listening, like if you're in Lancashire. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that. So I want to do just a mini review of January because I think what happened with January, and I talked about this a little bit over on Instagram too, is January ended up being different than all of us thought it was going to be. I keep saying it was like a little bit of a slap in the face for January. So when I recorded the January energy update, and obviously you don't need to go listen to it now if you haven't already, but we talked a lot about soulmates and karmic relationships kind of coming back in. And there was some anticipation, myself included, about certain things that were going to be happening in January. Like we just felt like, January we were going to take off and all these things were going to occur, manifestations and things we had been working on. And then about third week of January, the realization came in, and there was probably some astrological event that helped bring it to the forefront. But the realization came in that no, these things are not going to be happening in January. And so I started diving into like why. First of all, I was really upset because these are big things. As I know you guys have too, because some of you have messaged me like, hey, I thought this such and such was going to happen already, and it's not, and I'm really disappointed. And I'm like, yep, I know, I'm right there with you. And a lot of what happened there is part of January's reading was if you take the detour path, then you're going to have some sorting out of things to do. And I'm like, well, hey, you sent us all down the detour path. So I feel like we all kind of got detoured. One reason is cycles and divine timing. So this plays a part all the time, but I think the more you raise your consciousness, the less you are bound to the laws of the 3D world and how time and the calendar and all of that works. And whatever this calendar is it Gregorian or something, like whatever the January through December calendar is, where we say, January 1, like Happy New Year, and we expect everything to be all new and shiny and to start moving forward again. That is not how the wheel of the year works. That is not how the astrological zodiac wheel works. The zodiac signs are tied to specific months of the year. The pagan or Celtic or whatever it is, whoever developed that wheel of the year with our calendar of, Imbolc and Beltane and all of that stuff, that's also tied to specific months of the year. And none of those wheels started in January. So January rolled around and the harsh realization came that there was still work left to be done to tie up loose ends. And over and over and over again in card readings and card pulls that I did for myself and the collective, the Samhain card kept coming back up again. And the Samhain card in my deck is all about soul work and things coming back from the past to be worked on, and stuff coming back around to be dealt with. And so January ended up turning into a lesson on how to deal with certain things. How do I deal with disappointment? How do I deal with feeling rejected? How do I deal with feeling betrayed, abandoned, let down? All of those lessons were coming up and are now slowly, as I start this podcast today, have been cleared out. So the lessons have been brought up. Hopefully, if you noticed them, you did some healing around them and you were able to release and let go of whatever those were. I found a lot of the lessons coming up had to do with either the mother wound or the father wound, but were playing out through relationships with others. You're going to hear my son in the background too. Just roll with that. A lot of times he says stuff that is pertinent to what I'm talking about, so sometimes I have to listen to what he's saying. But like for me, the lesson that came up had to do with feeling, let down in a sense. And it was all tied to the father wound for me. And so, but coming through another person, like I felt let down by somebody now, and it all went back to like father wound and feeling let down. So a lot of that work was done. Thank goodness we're done with it. And oh my gosh, we're still not quite ready yet for the new. All right. We have the month of February. We have Imbolc on the second of the month, which is the first little inklings of spring coming up. And how does that play into love and relationships? The actual beginning of the zodiac wheel does not start until Aries season. That's the first sign of the zodiac, which is what, like March, April time frame. So the spring equinox is really, which is like the third week of March, really when a lot of these new things start to take off and you start to see your seeds that you've planted, starting to spring up and come to life a little bit. So we have to, again, think about patience and divine timing. And now what do we do in the meantime? Now that we know that we're probably going to have to wait even a little bit longer, it's just so close though, right? So the month of February, as it plays into love and relationships, just taking a look at my notes, it was love and relationships, sacred partnerships. And so many of you you're falling into several camps here. You're either waiting for a divine counterpart union to come into union. That's a big part of the listeners here, the guides are saying. So let's just check in and see what guides are showing up for this session today, because some of you do like to know, and I like to know myself, like, where are we getting this info from? So we have Archangel Metatron here with us. We have Sanat Kumara and Lady Venus, who work with me working with divine counterpart unions. We have Archangel Michael, who's going to be helping us with soul mission and soul purpose. And we have Bashar and the energies of the Galactic Council of the Light here for Starseed messages. So I want to make sure that we're bringing in a little bit of messages for everybody. So love and relationships, sacred partnerships. And what are we doing while we're kind of waiting for our new to transpire? And some of you, it's not a union. Some of you, it's a manifestation of something 3D, like a job or a vehicle or a new place to live or, something like that. So when I'm speaking, let's just, take what resonates for your situation. And if it doesn't, that doesn't mean the whole energy update is for naught. It just means, your messages come and you'll know them, you'll feel them in your heart, or you'll feel them in your solar plexus, like, yep, that's for me. That really resonates right there. So take those. You may even want to get a notepad and pen and jot down some of these notes, just so you might have them throughout the month to go back and listen to, so you don't have to file through this whole entire podcast again. The month of February. Regardless of what manifestation is coming for you, you need to be in tip-top shape to be able to work with these faster moving energies that are coming in. When I say collective too, for some of this reading, I'm talking about people on a spiritual journey, a spiritual path, an ascension. Some people call it an ascension or awakening journey. You can relate it to the hero or fool's journey of Joseph Campbell, or the journey through the tarot. And if none of those speak to you, then you're probably in the wrong podcast. And after 12 minutes of listening, you've either chosen to say yeah, I'm really interested. What is this about? Maybe you are just beginning your awakening process, or you just there are no mistakes, but at this point you can choose to bail or you can choose to stick around. I do like to go into advanced topics a little bit. I am not so much inclined to be more beginner type topics, because that's not very fulfilling for me. But folks have reached out to me in the past, with questions that I feel are kind of more of the newly awakening soul topics, and I've just kind of redirected you to go check out YouTube or something for those, who's my spirit guide and how do I meditate and all that. I'm sorry, I just don't have time to focus on those. I do have a YouTube channel, but we tend to cover more advanced topics, light language and awakening, people who are more opening up to, their soul journey and all of that. So let me just pause for a second and see where our guides, all these guides that are present here, and you may have called in some of your own to help you assimilate or draw down the messages. And there are many layers to what's happening here as well. I just want to speak to that for a minute. So I am a DNA activator through, I activate starseeds to their spiritual mission and spiritual purpose. Many of you listening here are starseeds. You're also starseeds. Many of you are starseeds on a divine counterpart union pathway as well. So you kind of got a dual purpose. So there's many things happening in these podcasts, all of them, but when I speak to it specifically, that there must be more coming through there. My voice is light language in and of itself. So there could be downloads, there could be key code activations. I may not necessarily be speaking another light language, but the tones and the frequencies, the inflection of my voice are all quote unquote light language. And for many of you, those will bring in downloads in and of themselves without me having to do anything else other than speak to you, bring in the messages that are meant for you. Those can cause downloads. Those can cause packets of information within your soul to be run like a computer program, okay? There's other people that do that for me too that don't speak light language. Like I just have to watch or listen to their videos, and I have like a activation happen. So I just want you to be aware that that could be happening, running in the background. In addition to the words that are coming out of my mouth, which are also, the messages that are being delivered, like the 3D type messages that are being delivered through the cards and all of that. Okay, so self-love for February. Back to you want to be in tip-top shape and condition so that when your new does start happening, that you are ready to roll. You are ready to roll with the changes. I wish I could play more music on here. But roll with the changes. Oh, who sings that song? Come on. Screw it. All right, let me just get the cards out where we want to focus. So the first little bit of cards I'm drawing is for a collective message for all of us, then starseeds, and then the divine union. This is all for February. Where's our focus? What does it have to do with self-love and self-care? All right, here we go. Oh, a whole bunch of cards. One. Come on, y'all. Starseed messages. Starseeds. What do you want me to say to starseeds? Oh, there we go. Wow. All right. And what do you want me to say to divine counterparts? I will share what the cards are in a minute. They're just kind of making me laugh a little bit. Oh, that's a heck of a lot for divine counterparts. The top two. Thank you, because that was a lot. All right, one more oracle card from my deck for clarification. We're gonna read the cards, and then we're gonna do the energy story. All right, whoop. I saw it. And divine counterparts. Got it. Thank you. Okay. So a message for all of us for the collective for February, the card I got, and what I'm going to do is I take pictures of these and I post these over on Instagram. So I try to describe the card in best detail here, but they really are not anything you have to absolutely see unless you want to, but I will post photos of them over on my Instagram. If you want to follow me, it's TLC for the Soul, the same thing as this, and that link is also in the show notes. Let me grab my water. Okay, so for us, for the collective, for February, I got the Edith Piaf card. Never regret anything. Don't regret anything. It's in French. Ne regrette rien. Oh, this French. French has been following me around lately. French language, okay? I don't know, but here it's in French. Ne regrette rien. Live with every fiber of your being, and that's the dog. When you hear the dog barking, that's like messages coming through, like sit up and take notice. Live with every fiber of your being and weaponize your flaws, which I find is interesting. And Edith on this card is surrounded in all red. Like the whole background is red with a little bit of like, I don't know what this is, like smudges of gray. Her dress is red. She's standing in front of a microphone that says on the air, like an old-fashioned microphone. The other two cards I got were like my version of the Three of Swords. So it says, ouch, my achy, breaky heart. And healing is happening within you. Allow. What does this have to do with all of us for the month of February? They're saying let's go into February with a clean slate. So they want me to do a little bit of an energy healing with some light language. I told you light language is going to start coming in more. So if you're not familiar with that, I think many of you are. Many people that listen to this are. And if you're not, this is, it's just the language of the light. It comes from light beings. We don't do any type of nothing that, everything that's on this channel is of the light. And I do light language from really any sentient being, star beings, earth beings. I can do, whatever comes through is, I will bring it through. Because I think what they're saying is happening here is out my achy, breaky heart is there was already a feeling of disappointment about January. So we want to go into February clean slate. So let's do this first, and then I'm going to talk about the messages of February for all of us. So what light language? Okay, we're going to bring in some angelic light language to clear the air. Some people don't, hear light language and like, I didn't feel anything. And it's like, okay, there's usually an integration period. Some people don't get the download or whatever right away, and it may take 24 to 48 hours before anything even happens or you notice anything different having to do with the light language. And by then you've already forgotten that you got light language and you're like, oh, it just feels so much better. And you kind of can't remember why. Well, that's why, because you got a light language download. And in this case, we're doing a healing and a clearing of all of the things that came up for January around what you wanted and didn't receive, or, not that you didn't receive it because it's still coming, but, the time it's taking and all of that. Let's just clear all the air out so we can look at February with a fresh, clean slate. So this is Elohim light language. You want to be kind of in a receptive state. So if you're bustling about listening to me, you kind of want to stop moving for a little bit. Either just stand still or sit down or something. Like you don't have to go into complete meditative pose, but you do want to be in a receptive mode. It just helps your auric field bring these codes and these downloads in a little bit easier than if your energy is scattered all over the place. All right, so here we go. All right, here we go. Just take a deep breath, everybody. Don't get nervous about it. We're going to clear the air here. Just take a deep breath. Okay. Looking at my thing here. Hold on one sec. I don't know why it's showing up like that. It's really weird. Anyway, all right. Something weird on my recording. So, anomalies. All right. You want to show me that too. So we're in a Mercury retrograde. It's starting in a few days of listening to this podcast coming out. So much of February, we're going to be in Mercury retrograde as well. I was just looking at my phone, like, what is it doing as I'm recording? So technology snafus and sniffles and gluffles and all that weird stuff with technology is going to be coming up for the collective. So we're ready now. I can just feel a little bit lighter energy, ready to jump in now to February. Out to my achy, breaky heart. Okay, self-love and self-care. We know we are being told by Source, because all these messages come from Source and are stepped down through these guides to me, the conduit, through you. So we're being told by Source, like, things are not happening yet. They're not. Most people, things are not going to ramp up till late March, early April. That doesn't mean inklings of things aren't going to start coming in, but the bigger, like, go time, energy moving quickly, stuff starting to happen, unions coming into union, and stuff you want starting to manifest, it's not really going to happen in February. So the first thing you have to do is try not to go into disappointment mode again, all right? So this out to my achy, breaky heart. The other thing that's happening in February, which is really a big deal for a lot of people, and there's a lot of energy even around it and into it, so that even if you don't really I don't know if celebrate's the right word, but even if you don't recognize it or buy into it, the energy of Valentine's Day is still around. And so we can feel, even if we don't personally feel like, oh, my achy breaky heart, like, why am I heartbroken? I don't have a Valentine. He's not here. He or she's not here yet. I didn't get what I wanted. Those in the collective who are, going through heartbreak, breakups, bad relationships, whatever the case may be, they're not having a Valentine's Day that maybe they wanted to have. If you're empathic, those can be felt. We can feel that energy. And sometimes it's not ours. Sometimes it's others. And so, it's important to just make sure you understand what's yours and what's not. And so if you're suddenly starting to feel like, why am I feeling heartbroken or upset about relationships? Or why am I feeling mad about Valentine's Day when I really could maybe care less any other time? You could be picking up on those energies. And so it's important to clear and balance and protect your energy. I do have a YouTube video for that, because some of you have asked me, I just assume, I'm sorry, I always say this, if I sound flippant about any of these things, it's just because I've been doing it for so long. I just assume that everybody knows how to do them. And sometimes Spirit asks me to tell people certain things, and then the person comes back to me and they're like, I don't even know what that is. And I'm like, well, Spirit told me to tell you, so I guess this is your kick in the pants or whatever for you to go find out what it is, because you need to be aware of this. And one thing that everybody needs to be aware of, I don't care how advanced you are or how new you are, is how to clear and balance your chakras every single day and how to protect your energy field. So I do, like I said, I have one video about that, it's a light language video on YouTube. For clearing and balancing your chakras and protecting your energy, but there's a whole jillions of them out there, if you want to find somebody else that resonates with you. And a lot of times what you'll find is if you just set the intention, I need to know more about this, then all of a sudden your YouTube will start popping up with recommendeds, or your social media will pop up with, something you need to take a look at. So pay attention to those things too, because they're not random occurrences. Everything happens. There is no chance based on the Hermetic principle of cause and effect. There is no chance meeting. There is, everything happens for a reason. So if, the other day, I was doing something on YouTube and I don't know if my finger accidentally hit it or whatever, but this channel came on. It was a channel I hadn't even heard before. And I was like, oh my gosh, this person's voice really drawing me in. And then when I took a moment, I didn't just swish it away, what the heck is this? I didn't ask for that. I was like, what is this? And it was an amazing channel. I love her so much. Liz from Guided by Angels, who works mainly with, she has two channels, but the one I'm mainly focused on is the one she works on for Divine Counterpart unions. So if you're interested in that and you want to hear of another way shower, she's very high vibe, then I would check out her channel. And she posts tons of, oh, my son, he's driving me crazy. He posts tons of videos. She posts 2, 3, 4 videos sometimes a day, and she does have a membership site. Oh my gosh, he's like doing like goal. It's crazy. It's crazy. So keep it lighthearted. Whenever I hear him doing that, it's like he's being playful. He's 13 now, but he's still being playful, and it's, just keep it lighthearted. Whatever these things are, they're not the end of the world. Just keep it all lighthearted. But if you get something like that, like follow it out. And the other card we got is healing is happening within you. Allow. We're still going through a healing process, especially those of us. Anything that I'm saying triggers you, then that's healing that needs to be done, okay? If it's disappointment, if it's me talking about Valentine's Day and you're like, yeah, dang it, I'm still mad about that one time that so-and-so didn't, things could come up as part of the light language, as part of the downloads coming through my voice. Anything I'm saying, even if it's just like that sound in the background is triggering me, like, why won't that darn kid shut up? Those are all things that you need to explore and where healing needs to happen within you. Okay? So for the collective, for February, we've just got some work to do. It sounds like a lot of work to do around energy work, making sure that our chakras are balanced and clear. That's all 12 chakras, not 7. Let's start working with all 12. I just, again, assume that everybody does, but some people that listen to me don't even know what a chakra is. And I'm like, holy smokes, okay, we need to get you going. We need to get you going, especially if those of you that don't know are like channeling and stuff. Because some of you folks are channeling things and putting stuff out there on social media, but you don't even know how to work with your own energy field. You don't even know what a chakra is. You don't even know how to clear and balance your energy or protect it from outside interference, no matter what that might be. If it's the EMFs in your house or the person down the street who's projecting negative energy your way. Like, it's time, folks, to it's my little energetic tough love. Like, it's time to learn these things. So if you don't know, then you need to know. You need to know. Just take it from me. And if you don't want to, then you don't want to be feeling. I think it's coming up because they're talking about empathically feeling this energy coming up during the month. And so if you want to not feel that so much, if you want to better have boundaries around your energetic field and others, then you have got to learn this. And it's not just like a thing you do like once a week or whatever. It's like every day you've got to, in some way, whatever way resonates with you. It doesn't have to take hours. It can only take like a minute or two. You've got to focus on taking care of your own energetic field. So enough said about that. I'm going to move on now to the message for starseeds. First, I'm going to take a drink of water with my crinkly water bottle. Oh my gosh. Okay, unless we're not hearing what he's saying now. It's so bad. All right, he's a teenager on a call with other teenage boys. That's just what it is. That. Why is this coming up for starseeds? I don't know. I know why it's coming up. It's not coming up for. It is kind of coming up for starseeds too. This Kundalini awakening. Okay, some folks are going through a second and third Kundalini awakening. Like, you may have already had one and you didn't even realize you had it. Again, I mentioned to someone the other day, like, I think you're going through a second. They had like no idea what I was talking about. And I was like, okay, well, you're gonna know it. You're gonna feel it, because I could feel it when I tuned in with their energy. I was like, holy smokes, the lower chakras are vibing high. So just be aware, and this only came up as I started talking about starseeds, so this is very interesting. We only got 2 cards. The card we got, and it's so funny, it's Barbra Streisand, which is like, she looks on this card like somebody from the B-52s, that musical band, the B-52s, which she's got like a beehive hairdo here. She's got like her Grammy Award, a microphone, and a star. And her message says, fake it till you make it. It's easy to fool yourself, but hard to fool an audience. And if you can't go right to the top, find somewhere else to go. The card that came out with it was Full Moon. Something is being revealed. And it's number 4 card. So it's interesting. Her card has a star on it. Ha ha ha. Thank you, Spirit, for that message. Now, a Grammy Award is like job well done, right? Like, you have been working hard. You don't even know sometimes you're doing a soul mission. So I think a lot of this is around starseeds, like awakening to their soul mission and soul purpose. Again, I posted this the other day on my Instagram, it was kind of like, many of you were like, what's my soul mission? What's my soul purpose? And I spent a few minutes over there, do my little 15 minutes that they'll allow on their IGTV. I know you can go longer, but it never works for me. So 15 minutes I spent over there talking about you're already doing your purpose. You're already doing your mission. You may not even realize it. It could be earth work. It could be grid work. It could just be your own DNA signature. If you're an awakened starseed, like you're already doing your soul mission in some way, shape, or form. And you are just now beginning to awaken to more of the conscious part of what that could mean in terms of, does that mean a career? Does that mean I make a career out of this? Whatever it is, or is it just that my soul signature is needed on some part of the planet where maybe I don't even really want to be there, right? And like, why am I on this part of the planet? Because your soul signature is needed for you to be there right now. So anybody listening to this call, now it's a call. Anybody that's listening to this call, for starseeds, that's what it is. It's either a call for you to sit up and take notice that you are an earth guardian and you are here to help Gaia. That's part of why you felt called to be here on the planet. You volunteered. No one made you come here. Source didn't force you to come to Earth and hang out on Earth for a while. Your soul made a conscious choice to be here on the planet, and many did at this point in time because of this golden age of awakening that's happening right now with the age of Aquarius and all that. And everybody wanted to be here for that. Everybody that's on soul mission and soul purpose and service to others and working with ascension wanted to be here for that soul growth. So there's no mistake about it. So first of all, you should take a bow that you even volunteered to come here, that you're here, and for the majority, for your whole life, you've really been on a soul purpose and a soul mission. A lot of it at that point, unbeknownst to you until you awakened. But your soul signature was needed to be here. You were strategically placed on certain parts of the planet for specific reasons. This goes into the something is being revealed. So I'll blow your mind a little bit because this is what's being revealed. It's coming through me. A while back, I had a dream. It was probably like late December or whatever, about divine counterpart unions happening for starting to come into union in 2021. And in the dream, what they showed me was it was almost like a wedding ceremony. So Source showed me like a seating chart. So as if you were having like a wedding reception and there was all these, like who's going to sit next to Bob and where are we going to put Susie and Bill and all that. So it looked like the metaphor was like a seating arrangement for like a wedding reception. And they showed me like, I don't know, A and B power couple over here and, Bill and Susie Starseed power couple union over here. And it was like, they showed me all of that on a chart. And I was like, but it wasn't really a seating chart. It is a geographical locations. So it signified geographical locations on the planet. So behind the scenes, I'm getting big chills. When I say get big chills, that's confirmation. For you starseeds who also resonate with the divine counterpart journey, which we're going to talk about those cards here in a second. You are coming into union. If you're here and you're like, that's meant for me, I'm here because I was drawn here. You're coming into union sometime this year. They're not all going to happen exactly at the same time. They're going to happen in waves, and it's based on geographical locations on the planet. Or what could happen as part of these unions is you've been as a starseed on your own kind of solo starseed mission, and your divine counterpart has been on their own solo starseed mission in their own part of the planet. Many of you are not geographically located together right now. You're not really around each other because starseeds are always kind of placed a little bit. There's not like a whole clumps of them. We come to the planet. Oh, so many chills. We come to the planet. We're set down in a location, and we bring in the higher lights and things from Source, light codes and all of that through Solaris through Gaia, out into the grids and out to light workers who are more earth seeds to help step all that information down, step it down even further. So there's a hierarchy of the way that, the energy comes through. But now it's time for power couples, the power of 3. So the power of 3, I've talked about it before. You hear about it in many different places, many different ways, and Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and Maiden, Mother, Crone, and all of these different ways of the power of 3. But the power of 3 is very important for the divine counterpart journey, the divine counterpart soul mission. So you divine counterparts are going to start coming into union, and you're going to be redirected somewhere else on the planet. So one of you, maybe both of you, you may come together, you may come into union this year, and then you will be directed. It's not by chance. You will be directed or divinely guided, however you want to see it, to a new location on the planet where you will be together. So however you want to put that, where you'll live together, where you'll be together, and you will go into soul mission together. Mainly those soul missions are going to start in 2022. But you will start doing your soul mission together, because where 2 or more are gathered in His name. I'm not going into like what the Bible verse, that we're not talking so much there, but that was, energy, like that was like coming straight from source. That was channeled information. Divine counterpart unions are power couples times 3. Okay. So when you do your soul work on your own, you're very, very powerful. You're an emanation of source. Yes, you are. Same thing with your partner. When you 2 come together, you can at will, and you can do this, whether you're having sexual union or not. There's ways to work with that energy, but together, when you come together like that, when you intentionally come together and you align your ascension column and your chakras together, when you merge chakras, you become a very powerful, potent force of energy, the power of 3. And these little these power couples are being strategically placed throughout Gaia to help raise that vibration even further. And through your soul work that you'll still do individually, you're not going to give your soul work up, your individual soul work, but together you will have a mission and a purpose. And what you do there is going to be so potent and so powerful for the next millennia. It's going to help set up just the next millennia to come. So for the for the Divine Union messages, we got 2 cards. We got Janice Joplin, and she is surrounded by yellow splotches, I guess. She looks very cool, but she's surrounded all by yellow, and she's got the peace symbol on a necklace. And the card says, evolve, but don't compromise. You're all you've got. The power of love must replace the love of power, and you are far greater than the sum of your fears. I just want to speak to that for a moment. Divine Feminine. Because she's coming across as the Divine Feminine here, even though I know Janice, I love her so much. I know in her lifetime she was, so she had her things going on, but she's coming across as the Divine Feminine here. And she's saying, evolve, but don't compromise. This union is coming. Divine counterparts for February. This union is still coming. Okay, it didn't happen in January. It's not going to happen in February. It's going to start rolling out in March, April-ish, in waves. So don't give up. Don't compromise. Don't think that it's not going to happen. Don't go back to old ways of doing things. And if you haven't already, go listen to the ASMR story for January for Timbre. You can just listen to the 3rd part if you want to, because I go into a little bit of a diatribe there about this same topic. Don't compromise. You're all you've got. Don't go back to old ways. Don't chuck it all away, like your whole union away, just because it hasn't happened yet, all right? So we need to cut ourselves some slack. It's going to happen. And in February, just focus on the faith and the trust that it's going to happen, because the power of love must replace the love of power. That's these unions. They are happening because of the power of love. They're not going to happen because of the old 3D way of the love of power. Although through these unions and the soul missions that you guys have together, the power of love is going to be, it's just going to be so good. It's just going to have so many implications energetically in the physical 3D world. Like you guys are going to do such good work together. And then you're far greater than the sum of your fears. So I don't want you to give up, divine feminines. Don't give up on this union. It's still coming, okay? And then the other card we got for the masculine was Frank Sinatra. And he has very similar colors, although around him he's got New York, New York. And it's like the young Frank Sinatra, kind of like was it Brat Pack or whatever it was called? He's got, the hat on. He's in front of an old-fashioned microphone. He's got the words New York, New York twice around him. New York, New York, one on each side. And the words say, everyone looks up to the guy behind the guy. Fly yourself to the moon of your choice, and you only get one shot at life, so aim high. So I feel like divine masculines are really being prepared, to make this leap of faith, to come into communication with their divine counterpart. They know it's coming. Many of them this time, the divine masculine, be it man or woman, are going to be the ones to make the first move. So you may have found that in previous relationships, and I just want to speak to this before I go on, but the other oracle card that was with that is Desire Rises, which is it's a little bit of like a Kundalini awakening card, but it's more like it has S's on it on the front, like snake. So desire is rising in more ways than one with the masculine. And the Kundalini fire of your energetic union together. So you may not even know this person yet. Some of us don't know this person yet. Like we know them in the 5D, we know their energy. You may have been working with them your whole life. You may be communicating with them telepathically, but you are being prepared for union. And part of the preparation is for the Kundalini to rise, for the desire to come up, and then to make the move. Okay, they've been sitting not idle. The divine masculine has been doing a shit ton of work, just like the divine feminine, to be ready for these soul counterpart unions. But they've had a lot of growing up to do. Hence this young Frank Sinatra. So there's two messages there. One is they've had a lot of growing up to do, which they've done. But for many of you divine feminines, your divine masculine could be younger than you. So you've got some work there to do around what does that mean? They're saying the gap could be like 10 years or more for some of you, where the masculine coming in is a very old soul. You've evolved together. You have been through many lifetimes together, but for whatever reason, I'm seeing and sensing and hearing that there's the dog saying, yep, that's right, that the divine masculines this time are coming in as almost like the thing they're showing me is like those masculines that made their fortune early in life and were able to retire and do whatever they wanted, maybe in their 30s and 40s. That's who, I'm getting big chills there. That's who I'm seeing is masculines coming through. And the feminine may be just as powerful, but a little bit older, focused on her soul work, her soul mission, her soul journey, very empathic, very psychic. But this masculine coming in is, they just keep saying younger. And so there's some healing work for the feminine around physical appearance. What does that mean? That's why we've got this whole lion's mane looking thing kind of around Janis Joplin. A lot of healing work in the solar plexus to do around understanding your own power and your own worth, and that it's not just about outside appearances. However, with the self-love coming in for February, it is important to, take care of yourself. Like if your masculine contacted you tomorrow and was like, hey, let's hang out, or whatever they're going to say, it's time we finally, I always envisioned it as something along the lines of, it's time we finally talked in the 3D or something, something witty, because you may have been working with them in the 5D or telepathically for so long, and it'd be some message like, hey, it's time we finally talk in the 3D. I want like a witty message like, hey, can we stop this telepathic communication and get on the phone or something? So if they were to contact you tomorrow and say, like, let's hook up, in more ways than one, because these unions are very, very sensual. They're going to be very dynamic. But if they contacted you, like, would you feel ready for that? Would you be like in your house coat and your rollers, or that's so old fashioned, house coat and rollers? See, or would you be like, fit, let's take care of ourselves. Let's exercise as best we can based on whatever, your body's able to do. Let's, get our hair done as best we can with whatever, I don't know if hair places are up and running now or not. I think they are, because my son's hair guy is like doing hair again. Put some makeup on, something to make you feel better. I don't know what it is. Do your nails or whatever it is. Like, I don't know. I don't want to stereotype it. I don't want to imply that it's only feminine, but whatever it is, divine feminine, that makes you feel like you're ready to go out on a hot date, then that's kind of where you need to focus your energies for February. Like, let's get myself feeling kind of good in my body again. Whatever that means to you. Okay? Whatever that means to you, I'm just going to leave it at that. Let's take a deep breath, because I want to now just move into, we've done a January review, we've done light language to clear the energy, we've brought in messages for our collective here, for Starseeds, and for Divine Counterparts, and now I want to read you the energy story for February, and invite in a spirit guide who is willing to and really wants to work with whoever is willing to work with him. Feels very masculine energy. But I think people hear the word of what type of guide he is and they get a little freaked out by it. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about who he is, and then when I connected with his energy the other day, and I said this somewhere, I don't know where, it's probably on Instagram, but I have a whole humongous list of spirit guides, and many of them were energetically bound to me through spirit guide auctions that I used to go to. They were private auctions, and spirit guides would come in for us. And I tried to do this on Instagram, and it just didn't fly. So if you guys are interested in spirit guide auctions, we can do them. But you would enter the auction, and guides would come in that wanted to work with. They already know, like, okay, we need to expand our realm of understanding of how the other worlds work and how the spirit world works and how energy works. But the guides that were there already knew the people that were going to be coming to the auction, right? Because remember, we went back to the calendar. It's a circle. Time to me is like a circle or an ellipsis or not ellipsis. That was that. Like the Mobius strip I talked about in one of my previous podcasts. It's not the linear Gregorian calendar of the January. So these guides, every moment is now. So these spirit guides already knew who was coming to the auction, and every time I would go to the auction, I would end up buying, bidding on and getting a bunch of these guides. And so I had so much that I have so many of them. My Google Keep page was like, you need to start a Word document because we've run out of characters, because it's just like their little names and their description. And so, let me just take a drink of water. And so I was like, gosh, these guys, I haven't connected with any of them in so long. And many of them want to work with other people. And on my Instagram, I brought forth the Manifestation Jinn, who he always wants to work with people to help with manifesting. And he's just amazing and really fun. But this time I wanted to work with the MIST VAMP. But when people hear the word vamp, they freak out a little bit. And they're like, psychic vampire. So I want to make sure that we understand who he is and we introduce ourselves to him before we freak out on the word vamp. Okay, these are earth-based. What do you want me to call you? Earth-based, light beings, okay? They are not necessarily from the stars. They're elementals. So earth-based light beings, earth-based elementals is the best way I can describe them. They work with the element that they are attuned to. So they don't do anything about draining anybody's energy or whatever. That has nothing to do with it. So I think in the 3D world, we've got a little hooked on that description of a vampire, and so fear can come up when you hear about that. But not this at all. So let me read his description before you panic. Click off the podcast, and then we're going to do the energy story of how he plays into, or how his energy plays into the month of February. So he is the MIST VAMP. Doesn't have an earthy feel. He has more of a flowing water and airy feel. And when I connect with him, it feels very dreamy. He flows in a current of fog or mist and can even shift into a mist at times. He can help you to sharpen your powers of observation and cloak yourself so that you don't stand out so much. He also has a wonderful gift of helping you tune into and connect with all that is around you in a peripheral sense. So if you're empathic, this is different than that. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It's more feeling one with all that is, but not being kind of like of the part of the earth, but not of it, or from the earth. I don't know what this saying is. It really heightens your psychic awareness. So think about how when you're out in the fog or out in a mist and you're kind of walking around, everything kind of connects with you, but you feel like blanket. Like to me, I love being out in the fog because it feels like a cozy blanket, like a cozy security blanket. And you can kind of see stuff, but you don't see it as clearly as you necessarily would if there was no fog. So it's kind of dreamy, and it's kind of easier to work with the energy in that way. And so that's, holy smokes, and a kid just ran by my window really fast. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I see very playful energy. And yeah, he's showing me like childlike. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that we started a new little short story one-pager series. And he's the first one to come out. And we'll be reading these as part of our monthly energy updates. And then the invitation is there that if you want to work with the MIST VAMP, then you just have to invite him in. And this is not like invite the vampire into your house. Like any of these guides, any spirit guide, any energy will not work with you and cannot work with you unless you invite them in. All right, that's your spirit guides, angels, that's anything. That's the law of free will. That's the actual name of the law, but it is free will choice. They're not going to come to you unless you invite them in. So this little energy story is called the MIST VAMP, the Spirit Guides of TESSA LOCH. So let me just say one more thing before I read it. Is all the stories I write are channeled, just so you know if you're not familiar with me. They are all they all come from source, through source to me, and they come out via like what some people call automatic writing or stream of consciousness. In this case, I was just sitting there the other night and I was connecting with the energy of the MIST VAMP, and all of a sudden I just got this story and I just stream of consciousness like typed it out. And that's how all of my energy stories, I call them energy stories, all of my healing stories, all of my books, every story that I write and I tell on this podcast is all comes in that way. So, they're not made up. Like I don't sit down and say, let me try to put together a story about a MIST VAMP, what we do, blah, blah, blah. It just comes out, okay? Comes from source, and there's messages and metaphors and things you need to hear or downloads that you need to receive as part of the story if you are open to receiving them, if you're open to working with those energies. So I just want to set that straight there. So the MIST VAMP is part of a series of stories I'll be writing called the Spirit Guides of TESSA LOCH. And this is the story as it pertains to February. It says, Will You Follow? This is about someone named Jenna Lee in Glastonbury. It says, as she walked home from work, Jenna couldn't help but notice it. A deep fog had already drawn itself in and up around her. She was perplexed as everywhere else felt sunny and clear. Where was this strange mist coming from? It enclosed around her like a warm, cozy blanket. She heard footsteps around her, but it seemed as if no one saw her. She smiled and said good afternoon, but no one answered back. The mist drenched her skin and her pulse quickened. Behind her left ear she felt a presence, but no one was there. The mist drew her out away from town and towards the tor. She hesitated. She wasn't ready for a climb, but the mists drew her onward and upward. She climbed, and even when the wind whipped around her, the mist remained. She was breathless, not understanding why she was climbing, but feeling compelled to do so. The mist spoke to her on her skin. It slinked its way amongst the tendrils of hair on her forehead, and it silently urged her on. She felt compelled to follow it up the steps and towards the tor. She needed to know. What had drawn this mist to her? Jenna still wasn't sure. She reached the top of the tor and stood catching her breath. The wind whispered her name, yet she still saw no one. The mist touched her skin, and it felt like magical velvet, yet she still didn't understand what she was doing. She felt compelled to lay down on the soft grass, and as she did, the mist settled over her, and she drifted into a light sleep. No one could see her now. The mist around her would make sure of that. And in her dreams, Jenna traveled. All right, folks. So a lot going on there. For those of you starseeds, you may be feeling compelled to a new soul mission, a new soul purpose, a new way of working in the world, some sort of job or career or hobby, the second type of job, like part-time job thing, that has more to do with your starseed mission and purpose. And you're just being asked to follow it, to, lay down at the top of the tor. You could do a meditation, like lay down at the top of the tor and invite in the MIST VAMP to envelop you and help to kind of shield you from the outside world as you go on a little journey to better understand, what does this mean? And for those of you Divine Counterpart unions, I see the MIST VAMP almost as your Divine Counterpart. Like they're readying themselves to make a move and they're kind of around you. They're always around you though, right? They're always around you, whether they're in the 3D physically with you or not. And I see them in a sense like the MIST VAMP, speaking your name, whispering in your ear, enveloping you in this feeling like they're feeling, like a cozy warm blanket. Their energy feels good to you, and they're just inviting you to let's just rest. Like, don't stop the journey, because it is compelling you to keep climbing, keep working on yourself, keep doing your soul mission work, keep working on your soul journey. Don't give up, but just know that they're there, and they're always around you, and they're very protective of you. And they are always they're always going to be there for you, regardless of whether they are with you or not. So that is a lot of information to cover for February. Sometimes after I record these, I have to go myself and listen to them throughout the month to kind of remember what I talked about. I do want to share with you, though, some resources. We're going to continue to help support you that I have for the month of February. I'll be continuing with the Starseed HQ series. I still am doing the Octurian, so I had a little taste of light language here, although that was Elohim, which is angelic, but I do want to bring in the Octurians for some of you, and they're like, yes, they're coming through. They're saying they're coming through tomorrow. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to be running a February workshop for preparation for Divine Counterparts, preparing for union. It's called Coming Home or something. I don't know. We'll do that here on the podcast, so stay tuned for those. What else have we got? And we have a new energy or ASMR storytelling this month for Jameson. So if you didn't listen to Timbre and you are a Divine Counterpart or Divine Flame, I don't know what I want to call us, but if you are looking to get into union with your Divine Counterpart this month, then you want to go listen to the Timbre story, which is for January, because we'll be following up this month with the Jameson, which is Timbre was the story for where the Divine Feminine is out on her journey, and Jameson is going to be the story for where the Divine Masculine is out on his journey. And these are the same thing I just talked about my stories. They're full of metaphors. I don't just sit there and read a story. There's lessons in it for us. There's downloads and messages from the guides and from the counterparts in this case for these stories. So I think that's all I have. My guides here are saying that they are complete. I've shared everything that we feel like is important for you to know, for those of you that listen to this. And so I am excited for the month of February, for what's to come. And I thank you all for joining me here. And we will see you all again in the next episode. Take care. Thank you for listening to this podcast. It has been brought to you by the Bringers of the Light, an etheric group of higher light beings focused on service to Gaia, humanity, and the self as it pertains to the spiritual journey. So they are here to support you on your path to love and to working with others. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.